Welcome back. In this video, I'm going to share a new story. To be precise, it's not a story, but it's a selection of facts that prove Queen Elizabeth II was the most fascinating royal for her warmth, for her, you know, the way she was devoted to a country and, she was so loved not only in Britain, but also all over the world. I want to make this story short, so I just want to summarize a few, just to say the title of these facts, this anecdote. So, just to mention a few of them, Prince Philip called her with the nickname of Cabbage. The Queen had a lovable a lovely sense of humor. She used to, enjoy to drink alcohol at the very beginning in the morning and a glass of champagne in the evening. She traveled without having a passport or an ID. She traveled for more than 1 million miles all around the world, which means 40 times around the globe. She loved corgis and she breeded this dog. She served in the Second World War as, a mechanic fixing trucks. She used to celebrate two birthdays, the birth where she was born and another birthday related to, the weather condition. She used to send more than 70,000 letters. She reigned for more than 70 years. And there were, a particular code to announce a passing. And this code was Operation London Bridge is down. Now I want to share other facts, anecdote. And the first one is the Queen was given a cottage as a gift when she was 6. At the age of 6, most of us receive a doll, a play-doh. Meanwhile, the future Queen was given a miniature cottage by the people of Wales. And the small cottage was placed on the ground of a royal lodge in Windsor. A birthday place is now a famous restaurant. Queen Elizabeth was born in what is now a famous Chinese restaurant. At the time of her birth in 1926, 17 Bratton Street was her grandparents' house in which she was born. Now this location is a popular Cantonese restaurant. The Queen raised pigeons. Queen Elizabeth raised pigeons at her country estate in Sandringham. She had a flock of over 200 of the bird and belonged to Multiply Pigeons societies. The Queen owned all the swan. She technically owned all the unmarked swan in British waters. This symbolic ownership was established in the 12th century to protect the species from poachers. Now King Charles will inherit the swan as well as dolphins, whales in British water. Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip received over 2,000 500 wedding gift. When Prince Philip and Queen Elizabeth were married, they received thousands of gifts to congratulate them on their nuptial. During wartime, clothes were being rationed, so women all over the country sent Elizabeth nylon stockings, and she received 131 pair of stockings in addition to other gifts. The couple was given a variety of fruits, including 500 tons of pineapple. Not to mention, the Queen received a necklace worth $83 million. The Queen enjoyed bright colors. The Queen enjoyed bright colors and would often be seen sporting bright shade of pink, yellow, green, and blue. She was known for her fashion sense, but the bright colors served another purpose outside of fashion as well. She had almost 100 portraits during her reign. It is not uncommon for royals to sit for portraits. Since the Queen reigned for 70 years, she sat for almost 150 portraits of herself and her family. In one specific instance, a portrait of her was completed by artists named Chris Levin and Rob Monday. She bought a wedding dress material with rations coupons. During World War II, there were clothing rations throughout Britain, and it was very difficult to come by clothing materials. Ration coupons were distributed to the public. The royal family was not exempt from these restrictions. Women around the world actually donated their own ration coupons so Queen Elizabeth could purchase a wedding dress material. She eventually had to return the donation because the crown is not allowed to accept a donation from the public. Her first horse was named Peggy. The Queen was non animal lover. 30 corgis and ownership of swans, dolphins, and whales were only some of the animals she owned. During her reign, she was given many exotic animals. Her very first horse was a Shetland pony named Peggy. Her grandfather, George V, gifted her the horse, and she had had a love for horse riding ever since. She was fluent in French and so many foreign languages. And speaking different languages can come in handy to better communicate with other rulers. The Queen was fluent in French as well as in English. Most likely she learned French when she was young. She always spoke the language when she traveled to France. She could also speak German, Spanish, and Welsh, but was not fluent. Apparently, she knew phrases in each of these languages as well as some others one. Many members of the royal family have learned different languages. She made the first radio broadcast when she was just 14 years old. The Queen made hundreds of TV and radio broadcasts in her 70 years reign, but her very first radio broadcast was when she was just 14 years old. She commented a BBC Children's Hour when kids were being evacuated during World War II. She was stating, "We are trying to do all we can to help our gallant sailors, soldiers, and airmen. And we are trying too to bear our own share of danger and sadness of war." She was wise beyond her years to have such insight to the war at this young age. Queen Elizabeth wasn't an apparent heir to the throne. Unlike many other monarchs who assumed the throne, it wasn't obvious that King Elizabeth would one day inherit the throne. Her grandfather, King George V, died in 1936, and so her uncle Edward VIII took the throne. Less than a year later, he gave up the crown and is entitled to marry an American socialite. Edward didn't have any children, so his brother Albert took the throne. This was Elizabeth's father, who later changed his name to George VI. Thus, Elizabeth became queen after her father's reign. She begged her parents to join the war efforts. Before her parents finally conceded and allowed Elizabeth to join the Women's Auxiliary Territorial Service in World War II, Elizabeth spent years trying to convince them to let her help. She was too young to join in the beginning. The princess insisted that she needed to help war efforts in some way, so she joined the radio broadcasters who aimed to keep the morale up for British children. She was proactive and felt she needed to serve the country at the age of 14 years old. She chose her own last name. One of the benefits of being royal is the ability to bend the rules. Elizabeth actually got to choose her own last name. Technically, her name was Windsor, which was the name chosen by George V in 1915. This name was chosen to separate them from the previous German-sounding last name. Elizabeth and Philip want to distinguish themselves from the royal family, so they choose to hyphenate. They selected the name Windsor Mountbatten. She was notoriously camera shy. Queen Elizabeth was notoriously camera shy, especially in her younger years. She did not even allow photos to be taken of her wedding. She did grow to become more comfortable in front of the camera because it came with the job. She did not originally want a coronation to be televised. Others agreed that it should be not televised because it would put an end to the tradition of allowing only upper-class members of a British society to witness the event. Eventually, it was agreed upon that it would be broadcast, but there would no close-ups Elizabeth's face. Prince Philip was a cousin. The Queen and her husband, Prince Philip, met when she was 8 years old, and he was 13. They met so young because they would attend many events, the same events in their youth, and this was largely because the two were distant related third cousins. She was homeschooled. Her Majesty was obviously well educated by only the best tutors that Britain had to offer, but she never actually attended the school or college. One of her tutors was Henry Martin, who later went on to be a teacher and administrator of Eton College. She and her younger sister, Margaret, were educated completely at home. The Queen learned much about foreign affairs, religion, constitutional history, law, and just about anything else a future queen would need to know. She carried ironed money. The Queen was known for carrying around her signature handbags, But it was always rumored that she did not actually carry cash with her. Why would a king need to keep cash on her? However, she did apparently keep a different form of money on her. It was reported that she kept an ironed banknote in a bag for church service donation, and net worth was estimated to be more than that of a Coca-Cola. So there really was no need to keep much money on her person outside of the ironed check. She promised to devote her life to public service when she was just 20 years old. At a time when most kids are enjoying a night out and drinking legally for the first time, Queen Elizabeth was devoting herself to the public. She was on a tour with her parents and her sister in Zimbabwe when she made her announcement. She stated on the radio, "I declare before you all that my whole life, whether it be long or short, shall be devoted to your service and the service of our great imperial family, to which we all belong." She was 25 when she assumed the throne. The Queen was only 25 when she assumed the throne. Her father, King George VI, died from complication with a lung surgery. He was only 50 years old, so Queen Elizabeth assumed the throne a lot younger than expected. A coronation took place in June of 1953. Since she was so young at time, she assumed the throne. She became the longest reigning British monarch to date. This will most likely not be soon contested. She sent letters to anyone who turned 100 years old. The Queen sent out letters to people on extremely special occasions. These include 100 and 150 birthdays, as well as 60, 65th, and 70th wedding anniversary. This was a trend that also United States President used to do as well. Of course, they were not handwritten, but personalized note because the Queen has a lot of things to do. But it is believed that they were signed by her personally. Some people probably still have letters that have been signed to family members or close friends. She had 4 children. The eldest was Charles, who now is King Charles II, Edward, Prince Andrew, and her sister, Prince Anne. She had a personal poet. The monarch of the United Kingdom is designated as a professional poet, known as the poet laureate. This is the esteemed position with the royal family. They will write poems for special occasions such as royal funeral, wedding, and coronation. She didn't like pizza. We are surprised to discover that she didn't like pizza. Apparently, the Queen didn't enjoy pizza. According to Darren McGrady, the former royal chef, she wasn't a fan of a very starchy food. Instead, she preferred healthy, lean meals. He noted that especially when she dines alone, she would request healthy meals. Often, her meals would consist of a lean chicken or fish in addition to vegetables and healthy carb. Good for her. We have to say that we prefer pizza, though. She enjoyed horse racing. The Queen had many hobbies, including horse racing. Most likely, this was because she was such a lover of horses. She owned hundreds of race horses and won more than 1,600 races with these horses. She sent a message to the moon. Queen Elizabeth got the opportunity to send a message to the moon in 19 1969, when Apollo 11 was sent into space, world leaders were invited to write messages to send with it. The disk sits on the moon this day. In her moon message, she saluted the skill and courage of the men who traveled to the moon and stated, "May this endeavor increase the knowledge and well-being of mankind." And these are a selected fact, that I want to share with you, and they prove how fascinating Queen Elizabeth II was. Thank you so much for watching. Bye bye.